Hello and welcome to our third day of the Order Without Stressing Out Challenge. It's so great to meet you here. If you're catching this live, that's awesome. So good to see you. If you're catching, they'll be all saved in the guides section, and you're welcome to jump back if you haven't already joined the challenge. I've got short videos coming out 3 times a week for the whole month of July, so it'll be 12 in total. And we are working together to get some part of our home, and we're going to do it in a fun and simple way. So this is on Monday, our day, we talked about triage, picking our first goal, our first priority, and a process that I use to do that. On day 2, breaking it down into smaller steps, about a trap that I've teased this week. I'm warning you to watch out for this trap because it's very, very common, and not to keep you in suspense any longer, it is the trap of comparing. And we're going to dive into that real quick today and talk a little bit about it. Real quick, if you haven't met me before, my name's Tara. I'm a Christian wife, homeschool mom of 10 children. That wasn't always the plan, but it's a whole God story. And now here I am embracing the blessing of children with a whole heart, overcome a lot of fears, and I've learned how to develop a lot of systems, kind of the long and hard way with a lot of trial and error. I've learned how to manage my home, my heart with more joy, more confidence, and I'm here happy to share that with others, in other moms of many who are looking to do the thing. They want to embrace the blessing of children with that joy and confidence, and it's a lot easier to do when you plug who's been there, who's been where you're at, and can really relate to this and give you some support, some encouragement, and some practice that's up to you how you want to implement it in your life. I think it's really great. So many of you have commented on different projects that you, based on where you're at just in your life, in your health, what's going on in your life, to do a photo project, my summer photo project, and other people are going to be cluttering and other different areas of the home. That's fantastic. So I encourage you, and it's so fun to be sharing. So let's dive into it. The trap of comparison. Comparing can actually be positive or negative. Like on the positive side, it's one thing to be able to compare, like for example, since we're in the context of home being in order, you compare your home, and we go into other people's houses, homes on TV, Pinterest, what have you, and you see, there's difference, right? That's how this is how they keep their home tidy. This is how they set it all up. This is the paint they've chosen, and so on. It's one thing to be inspired by other people's homes, whether it's real homes you've actually seen or on TV, like I said, or even just like your perception of how other people live, because sometimes we don't really know how they live. Kind of see their homes when they're out there forewarning and they were having people over, so they like super mega cleaned or higher. Who knows, right? So we don't really know how they live all the time. We just know the one time we were there and they're amazing. So it's one thing to be encouraged, and that can be aspiring. You can say, wow, I really love that setup that they got. Where did you get that? Oh, IKEA, awesome, right? That's inspiration. And comparing in that sense can be a source of encouragement, of practical ideas. And I think that's actually a really healthy way to compare your setup to someone else's setup. I've gotten a lot of my best tips and tricks just by reading magazines and observing other events to connect with in my own life, in my own area. I'm always scoping out, be like, how do you guys do laundry? How do you guys do groceries? Where do you get your best this, right? Things, especially in my early years when I was like, okay, I've already got 7 kids. Things are real. This is happening. I've always been scoping people out so I could learn from them. There's another kind of comparison. Sure, you're familiar with it, because if you're experiencing it even right now in the context of this challenge, started out, set your goal, you've broken it down into big steps, and then you can feel this discouragement that leads to a sense of defeat when you're like, I'm never going to be like so-and-so. I'm never going to be as organized as, honestly, even Tara, people to me. And you feel bad. You're like, well, you don't me or someone else, be you, right? Be your best version of you. Keep improving you, because if, if we keep comparing ourselves to other people, real or perceived, it becomes like an impossible goal. And this is the process that I've observed that happens in my own mind. Maybe you can relate to what I'm going to say. It's a very subtle and powerful shift in our mind when we think at some level, at some point, when we're comparing and we start to get the discouragements and the doubts going, we can think it's an impossible goal. We're like, I'm never going to get there. And if you think about it logically, if something's an impossible goal, it actually makes sense to stop, because you're wasting your time. You're wasting your energy. And as of many, your time and your energy are probably two of the most valuable you have. So the smartest thing you could do, if something is in your mind, and redirect your time and energy elsewhere into more productive things. Makes sense, right? If it's not true. Is a possible goal. It's just that on some level, without even noticing it's happening, this can be so sneaky. You chose to believe that. And never really just, had a conversation with yourself to see if that was really true. And maybe you're familiar with the Proverb 23:7, one of my favorites, that says, as a man thinks, so he is. I love it. As a man thinks, obviously not like males only. This is as a human being thinks. It directs the course of their life. Like our fundamental beliefs about everything, from God to house cleaning, literally like the rudder of a ship, this directs our whole life. So if you find yourself now in other areas, or, at other points in your life when you're pursuing a project, especially in the context of your home and getting it in order, and you start to feel that dread and doubt because you've been comparing yourself to an ideal that you think is possible, and you're tempted to just quit before you waste your time, here's the deal. You can choose. You can actually change your thoughts because you chose to believe that at some point. You can choose to believe something different. You can choose a different standard of comparison. You can say, I'm not going to compare myself to anybody. Or maybe you can just compete against yourself and play your own best game, right? You're like, I'm going to aim to be score. You know what I mean? Playing against other people. I'm playing against myself. I'm aiming to improve myself. And that's the standard that I just want to go one notch higher. That's a healthy standard to set. And I would encourage you to think in those terms. And if there's someone in your life or someone on TV or whatever who inspires you, great. Capitalize on it. Use it as inspiration, but keep it in its boundaries of inspiration only, and it morphing out of those boundaries to becoming defeat and discouragement. This is terrible, right? It feels terrible. And it only leads us ultimately to a form of death and giving up on our own dreams and goals. So take inspiration from others and then leave it at that, rather than use into an unhealthy type of comparison. So that's my advice to experiencing that. Or if you experience that later in this challenge, later in life, it happens. And the good news is you could flip a switch in your head and change the way you think about the whole thing. And it's powerful, just as powerful it was when it got there, and it could lead you to defeat. It could also powerfully lead you to success. So that's what I got for you today. Quick reminder before I go, if this content, like if this channel, it's not channel, like this group that I've set up, right, that is about encouraging moms of many to embrace the blessing of children with joy and confidence, this is really connecting with you, and there's someone else in your life, you're like, do you think this would be in alignment with them? This would really be something that would bless them and encourage them right where they're at as a new mom, as a young mom, 2, 3 kids, and they're feeling it, and they're just like, wow, I would really benefit from connecting with a slightly older but really, really nice mom. Then please feel free to share this video. There's I think 3 buttons on the side. You can just share. If you're catching this on YouTube, again, you can share the whatever. If it's on your heart to do, that's awesome. I know it'll be a blessing to them. It would have been a blessing to me, 10, 12 years ago, if someone said, hey, this woman is really helpful and nice, and check her out if you want. So no, it's on your heart to do. That's awesome. It'll help other people be more blessed. And that's just awesome, because that's what this is about. Thank you today. Thank thank you so much for joining me in this challenge. Comment down below to stay in the running for the big grand end of the month giveaway. Let me know, have you been experiencing any doubts and discouragements, particularly if you think about it in terms of comparing yourself to impossible goals? Let me know below, and check and post that's going to be today in the Facebook group item, and commenting on that as well. That's all the video. Comment, read the written post, and the running for the big giveaway. But more important than that, it'll help you stay on track with what you've determined to do this month and experience that sense of, I did it, right? That accomplishment at the end of the month, the encouragement of knowing you can do this, and I will help you get there. So, guys, see you on Monday, same time, for